So this is our second podcast with I got my good friend John here. I don't know what we're calling this yet, but let's not lie. It'll probably be called Cruella something. I was gonna say introduce yourself, but I just did. We got John here today, so I wanted to talk to John about filmmaking and how he got into it. Because for people that's been watching us for a while, and I feel like we've had kind of the same followers for a couple of years now. You're a little bit newer, so go ahead and give us the details
of how I got into filmmaking. Okay. It started in high school with skateboarding. Me and friends just like filming each other skating. Skate videos were all the hype. That was like the thing. But a part of me like always enjoyed the more cinematic part of filmmaking. A lot of people were always going for the stereotypical like fisheye look and like really as close as you could be to the skater.
We skated in early 2000s, that's why.
Yeah. And like I was that was cool, but then I started seeing like Lakai and like Sugar and like all these different companies that were doing like really cinematic stuff with their skateboard, and I was like, oh wow, there's more to this.
You remember, Yeah, Right?
Yeah, Right was sick, and they were like green screening ramps, and so they could like
skateboards and
flip over the street and stuff. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, it opened up like a whole new world, and and I think everybody when they're a kid, they find like some movie or something that fascinates them, and like they all have this dream of wanting to be an actor or something in one way or another. Eventually a lot of people grow out of it, but then there's people crazy enough like us that actually pursue filmmaking.
Keep on playing make-believe forever.
Yeah. So skateboarding transitioned into me just playing with a camera and special effects, and like I started learning like different little things like masking and how to like duplicate myself in multiple videos and that kind of thing. And it was also intriguing, and like I'm kind of like a sponge, and where like I try to absorb as much information as possible. So
this was high school?
That was high school, yeah. So I started doing that. I took a photography class, and photography showed me a lot, but photography and video are so incredibly different as much as they are linked together at the same time. So YouTube was very new at the time. I got into watching people like Freddie Wong. Eventually, Corridor Digital split off from Freddie Wong, and they had their own videos. And then there's like all these different channels that were doing shorts based around like pop culture, comic books, video games, like spin-offs of famous movies that like we all liked. And that really inspired me. So I started learning stuff, watching Freddie Wong's videos like crazy. And then I met a guy who kind of became a mentor for me in filmmaking. He kind of showed me the ropes and like how to get into it. That was when I was like 19 years old. And that's when I kind of realized like, wow, I don't want to do just YouTube. Like I want to be an actual filmmaker. Like I want to see something I do on the big screen or maybe TV. And then like now, like I would love to see something on a streaming service. I think streaming services are the future. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, all that.
I agree. And work, I feel like creative freedom. Mm-hmm. That's so funny, real fast, your journey, because I don't think we've really talked about how you started. And I was also a skateboarder that was really into, like, I didn't even want to skate unless we were filming.
Yeah, that's how I was too. And like, it's not worth doing a trick unless there's like evidence of it.
And then I would think about, this trick would be good with this song or this song. And I'm already thinking of basically scenes in my head, And then after the skateboarding, I didn't think you already caught on. I wasn't smart enough. So I got into music, and I was one of like the main writers, not just musically, but lyrically. And I'd always be thinking of stories in my head. And why? Because I wanted it to get to a music video. And one day when we were in the studio, everybody, it was one of my 500 times of quitting smoking. So everyone went and took a smoke break, and I stayed inside. And like you said, YouTube was fairly new. And I was just like searching YouTube and stuff. And this Joker thing came out because I think it was like a year or two after The Dark Knight. Okay. So like 2010-ish. Mm-hmm. Right? Does that sound right?
It sounds right.
Okay. Yeah. And there was this, like, it looked like the Joker on the clip, so I clicked on it, and it was a series called The Joker Blogs, and I was blown away. I was like, what the fuck is this? And so when I get into something, I get into it like crazy. So I like looked up what they were doing and everything. They had behind-the-scenes videos, and it was just like these two guys that just got out of film school and were making movies. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, you don't have to go to Hollywood to do this kind of thing. Like, you could just do it. And I mean, we almost were like down the same road. And so at that time, I was older than you, but I think you started already. But it was around, we went like almost down the exact same path. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For me, like, that would have started maybe about 6 years ago. So I'm 25 now. So 6 years ago would have been like my start into like the YouTube world.
Okay, yeah. So, okay. I've been doing it for 6 years too. So we've been, at the exact same. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I wasn't about to say after that. But like, I wasn't actually doing anything. The problem that I had was I was so scared to actually get things done. I spent more time thinking up ideas and writing them and then never getting them done. And like at the time I was living at home with my parents and I had a job. So like all my money went towards getting gear. Like I had a green screen set up in my garage.
It's like the first thing you always get as a filmmaker. You're like, if I get a green screen, I could just make movies.
Mm-hmm. Like I saved for my first DSLR, and my first DSLR, and I was so stoked on it, was the Canon 60D. I got it refurbished, and at that time it was already like a couple years old, but it was still kind of pricey. Like refurbished, I got it for about $750, and I think it retailed closer to $1,000, like brand new at the time. And then,
that was your first camera?
That was my first camera.
Nice, because I had one of those, like, you know when you go to Walmart and there's like the $100 like
the like point and shoots.
Yeah, no lens or anything.
When I was in high school, when me and my friends were shooting videos for like skateboarding, we used those. And we used those little point and shoots. It was like whatever, because people like, you know, every family had one because they used it for their vacations. Like it was like the dawn of digital photography, and like. You know, now we could take way better pictures on our phones. But back then, you wanted the digital camera. And, we used them. And, oh, man, like, if you took them out in, like, way too bright of lighting, you got these really ugly purple lines that went across the screen. And, like, all this chromatic aberration would, like, happen. And it was,
But, the good old days.
Yeah. But it was all a start, you know? So, but, yeah, my first, like, personal camera was the Canon 60D. You know, I bought all these lights. I had audio gear, and then I met.
You got into it pretty fast, though. Once you found out, like, hey, I'm into this. Like, you just see that mine was, like I said, in 2010. I saw that video, but I kept on using like every excuse in the world. Until finally one day, I was just like, I went out, got $100 camera, and this was years later after I saw that. But I knew that was the start. You know, after then, I would talk about it for years and years and years. I was one of them. And then I just went like full blown.
So my first short film I didn't make until I was in Washington, and like that never saw the light of day. The only person that ever saw it was my best friend Austin. I sent it to him, and it was just me. After years and years of learning as much about filmmaking as I could without actually applying it in like in a real life sense.
Was Austin with you in Washington?
He did live with me for close to a year.
Nice.
But at the time that I did that, he wasn't living with me anymore.
Just for you guys, Austin's been he's been in a couple of our shorts, and he's also John's best friend.
Yeah.
He's Charles's Mike, but did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Mike to Charles.
Yeah, there we go.
So you can see him in Arrow episode 2. He plays one with a henchman that gets hit in the face with a shotgun. So, but where was I? So
right, your first short that never saw no light.
Yeah, so I was obsessed with this TV show called Peaky Blinders, and it's like based in the 1920s, and it's like these like Irish gangsters out in England, and So like I dressed up like that because I'm a very hipster guy, and I already have clothes like that in my closet. So I dressed up like that, and I did this short where I was like walking down the hall of my apartment. I go into a room, and then I did like all the Foley and made it sound like I was beating up a guy, and I walk out and I light up and it looks like a cigar, and I light up a cigar and I throw it on the ground, and there's a close up and it's actually the guy's finger, and I made an actual like finger out of latex using my own finger as a model. And I just wanted to do something with it. So I shot this little short film. That was my first short film ever.
Do you still got it?
No.
I got my first short film on a DVD.
Really?
It's like 1 minute long, maybe 2, but it was tons of fun.
It's not the one that you have on YouTube, the
Forgotten iPod. No, that was probably like my third, because my first one came out pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
That was my fourth one. My second and third never got finished and never saw the light of day. And then my fourth one was the Forgotten iPod, which is on YouTube, if you guys want to go and laugh. So that's coming around, you almost coming back. And when you came back, or when you were there, you got into parkour, which you started making some short films, right?
Yeah. So like parkour to me is just like skateboarding without the skateboard.
Yeah.
And that's how I always saw it. So I was doing parkour, and I had been doing it for about 2 years.
I feel a little more artsy.
Yeah, it definitely has more freedom in it, because you're not like stuck on the board, you know. Mm-hmm. And like if you thought of your whole body as the skateboard, then like you can do so much more with it. So I started recording myself as like daily parkour vlogs, but then I got into 3D like animation stuff through Blender, and I was doing all kinds of VFX. I was doing all kinds of modeling and stuff. And one day I was just like, well, what if I put in, everything I've learned so far together in one, being parkour, filmmaking, 3D visuals, After Effects, all that. So I started getting more cinematic with the parkour, seeing what I could do with that, because it was making me a better filmmaker, as I just did the things that I like to do in real life. There's a couple that I played around with. Eventually I wanted to work up to doing this like Super Mario Brothers themed one, because I did a VFX test where I had like the little coins just inside the world.
Which you could go check out on his Instagram.
Yeah.
Which actually...
It's pretty far back in there.
It looks pretty good though. Definitely for that being like, that's still earlier baby John learning the world, it looks really good.
Yeah. And there's like a little Goomba, because I do a Kong vault over this block, and I land down and the Goomba's there. So I don't know, it was fun. It was just like a little test that I just threw together really fast. But the end all goal was to make a parkour video that was going to have a bunch of VFX in it, and it never got that far. But I was doing all that in Washington, and I was trying to be... So before I moved to Washington, I had to have funds to move there, so I sold all of my camera gear. Yeah. There was probably close to $2,000 worth of gear that I had bought, and sold it off to make money to leave. Even sold some of my guitars. So I had nothing when I moved to Washington. I was going to give up filmmaking. I was like, I'm going to find a new dream. Filmmaking's cool, but it's far-fetched. I'm never going to make it in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So, but like anything that people are passionate about, it doesn't stay away for long.
Yep, keeps on coming back.
Yeah. So I got involved with a filmmaker group, kind of like the Fresno Filmmakers Alliance here. They were a Facebook group, but it was there in Tacoma, Washington. I was living, and I got to do like a couple of like script readings and stuff, but I never got cast for anything. Eventually I started working on a project where I was teaching a guy parkour because he wanted to do Assassin's Creed fan film. So I was teaching him,
which we've talked about a number of times.
Mm-hmm. Just because that idea was still in my head, because I took the time to actually write that script, and I thought it was so good. And I was like, we got to make it. But eventually, here we are now back in California, and it's like restarting all over again. And again, I don't have any camera gear. And I'm like, well, I don't know anyone in the Valley. I don't know anyone that does filmmaking. I don't have any gear to do filmmaking. And so then I got on YouTube and I started looking around, and some of the first people, and obviously you go and see like who's the most popular. And
the same names popped up: Freddie Wong, Corridor Digital.
Well, I was looking specifically like in Visalia.
Oh, okay. Did you type in Visalia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think well, obviously you were one of the first people to come up for your Batman stuff.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
Because I think like episode 2, whichever one
4, which is like crazy views.
Where Harley Quinn is the reveal of Harley Quinn has like 100,000 views, and I was looking at my friend that got me into filmmaking, and I was like,
we could do something better than this.
Almost.
Because by then it was really old. Like it blew. That's another conversation though.
Yeah. And like I wasn't hating on it. I just said, I was like, look, this is what they did, and it got 100,000 views. We can do it too. Like, it was more inspiring than anything. It wasn't like, oh man, I could do better than this. It's just more like, hey, I can do that too. And these guys are from Visalia.
Yeah. So for sure, definitely. I know, like, because it's. When I saw those Joker blogs, people, I was like, hey, it's 2 fucking people, they could do it. But I know it has to feel a lot different when it's like, dude, they're in the same city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we could definitely do this. And then that guy ended up moving, right?
Yeah, he moved. But he was still, so he moved to Fresno first. That's why, like, I wasn't hanging out with him all the time. Because him and I have always been, like, we've always looked at each other as business partners and writing collaborators. We've had so many projects that have, like, really never been finished, but we started together. Like, we've got like 2 comic books that we've been working on, multiple like TV projects, different things like that. But it's because of him that I've been so I use this word loosely, but successful in what I do, because he sets me up with the right people. Because of him, I've met all kinds of people and have all kinds of opportunities, like being able to, of all movies, I got to go to a beach party for all the actors of Sharknado when that movie was premiering, and I got to hang out with like most of the cast, and then like went to dinner with them. I got to meet producers and stuff.
Which for someone else like us is like part of the dream, right?
Yeah, that's kind of huge, because anything you do, like even this like this project that I just got done with, which I'm sure we'll bring up later, was huge for me. And just to an outsider, it might not seem huge, but any project you work on as a filmmaker is a win in your book.
Definitely if it gets done, because there was a comment the other day, I don't want to say who it's from, but someone said happy birthday to me, and I was like, hey, my birthday's tomorrow, but thanks. And then someone was like, did you see that comment?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Someone
was like, hey, your birthday takes as long as your films. And I was like, I really think for around here, like, we know, and this ain't like a stab to anyone or anything, but we come out with the most videos, I feel like, around here, like by far.
Yeah.
And not only that, but just when we don't, it doesn't mean we're not working. You know what I mean? Like, because you just said, when you get something done, you feel so good. But there's a lot of projects that me and you've done together, or we do separately, and they never see the light of day.
One of the best projects we've ever done, and we still talk about.
I knew this was going to come up.
It's never going to get shown.
Yeah, we
talked about refilming it.
People know about it without knowing. We've shared a lot from it, which was a video called Keepsake, which you know what? Let's not get there yet. So, okay, so you saw us on the YouTube. You're talking to your friend still, and then he moves.
He moves. Okay. So I had another friend who started getting into filming, but he wasn't into like narrative filmmaking. He was into like videography. So he was making all those like montages and edits that people do with music, which they're all super sick and super cool, but they're a completely different type of storytelling, a completely different type of filmmaking compared to actual narrative storytelling like we try to do.
Yeah.
But I hit him up. I was like, hey, let's go film something. So it was basically like our creative Sunday, where we showed up with no plan on what to do. And we're like, all right, what can we do? There's the two of us. We have a camera. We have no castman, no crew, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I know parkour. And I'm like, everything parkour related always ends up being like a chase scene. So it's like, well, let's just do that. Let's just do a chase scene. So we went downtown here in Visalia, and we did exactly that. We filmed the chase scene. And I'm glad we did that because, one, it came out super cool. That's also on my Instagram. But one day I finally worked up the courage to. I had Charles on Facebook for maybe the better part of the year. I knew his YouTube. I knew everything that he had done. We didn't know each other, but I just one day I went and added him on Facebook.
He was doing the Facebook stalker thing.
Exactly.
Let me see if I trust this guy.
I never did anything. I just watched his account, but he never posted on it either.
Yeah,
never posted on it.
It's a maybe one day when we do a podcast about me. It's that wasn't really my Facebook.
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah.
But one day you did, and I saw it, and you were looking for people to do a video. You're like, I need people down to do a video, and I was like sitting there contemplating for the longest time. I was like so back and forth, and not because I didn't want to work with you, but because you were already established here. You had your following and stuff, and you had people that worked with you, and you didn't know me at all. So I didn't want to be this random guy that showed up and be like, hey man, I'm a filmmaker. Let's do something together. And then you're secretly thinking who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, because it was nothing like that. You, so I think I put up a post looking for actors, and you hit me up, and I think everybody bailed. Right? So I was like...
Yeah, because we ended up just talking. We never did anything.
Yeah.
We just talked for a couple of days.
And I tried to get to know you, and you were like, I'm really into parkour came up somehow.
Yeah, I always use that because I've always been so insecure about my abilities or my way of breaking through to people and filmmaking and making that connection. And I know something that most people don't have is certain skill sets. And I'm like, I can do parkour. So if you need an actor and you want a cool action scene or something, I can do parkour.
And at the time we were getting known for action, and I was like, parkour, fuck, what can I do with that? And I was like, ooh, Green Arrow. So I think we started slightly talking about Green Arrow, and then I don't know what made us just do it, but we went out and did it one day. We got that was pretty cool for our first time filming. And yeah, you were nothing like that. You weren't like, hey, I'm a fucking actor and I've worked on sets. I've been to parties. You were very respectful. You were one of the easiest to work with. And we did a Green Arrow short. And for our first time working together, we got to go to a club. It ended up causing problems later for filmmaking, as in we had to fix the sound and this and that. But for our first time filming, that was pretty fucking cool. You know, we got to throw people through tables. We had a whole shitload of style lights and shit. It was a really fun time.
Just the fact that the owner of the club was he's like, oh, you guys need to record audio? Let me turn off the music to this whole freaking club.
Yeah.
And everyone was looking around at us all funny, but we're like, the owner's right here. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you could tell they were fucking pissed. And then not only that, we had what would you say, $5,000, $10,000 in fake cash. And he's like, oh, you guys, you want real cash? And he brings out actual $10,000. Yeah,
money and just
that was fucking insane, dude.
Yeah.
And then all good things have to come to an end. We the videos didn't do that good, and I think it was because one thing that John was talking about how he wanted to quit filmmaking, but you just can't quit when you're passionate about something. I have quit filmmaking 100 fucking times. And so at that time, that was me kind of coming back. And so the following wasn't there again. Totally went to sleep on me, which was my fault. And then right after those two shorts, so the views weren't there where they should have been, where they could have been. You know what I mean? There was nobody watching at the time. The channel was dead. And because they're pretty fucking good. And after that, I went through some life changes. I am now a girl. No, I'm playing. No, I just went through some serious life changes. And one reason that I tell John this all I'm a very emotional person. I'll just let you guys know. And I'm very open with how I feel and stuff. Especially very open for a man, because, that's but I've let John know this a million times. I met John twice once and a half. I don't know how you want to call it. We filmed twice, but one time was really fast. And they were both for Green Arrow. It was like one episode that was split into two because it was 2 different filming days, and we were excited about half of it, so we just released it. Which are both on the YouTube page. But after that, I took a break, and John met me for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I was going through the biggest depression of my life, and I quit filmmaking again, and you hit me up at least weekly to check on me. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm coming back, dude. But I just want, to tell you again how much that meant to me. And you didn't definitely, for someone barely meeting someone, like, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to care at all. Like, we only knew each other for 5 hours. We only knew each other's last name because of Facebook. So I'm always thankful for that. And you've been such a good friend ever since. And so in the meantime of that depression, I think I started doing better. And then I was like, hey, edit this video for me. And I threw some old footage to you.
Yeah, Hunter and Collector.
Yeah, Hunter and Collector. And that one started going up in views again. I think our crowd was like, hey, they are back, Mm-hmm. And then my pops passed away. So right back into the depression and gone again. And then once again, Jean was always there. And so I lost my girlfriend, which I truly loved. I lost my dad. And John was just like, hey, dude, I know you're down, but whenever you're ready, you just hit me up. And I was like, man, this guy is motivating me to do something. Because it was like weekly, hey, just making sure you're still alive and you haven't fucking drowned yourself with a bullet in your head in the tub. And I was like, no, I'm still here, man. So we all get together. And we're like, this time me and Mike became friends again, too, because I think we talked about it in the last podcast, but I'm pretty sure we did, unless we said we're going to talk about it later. I don't know. But we get back together. I tell him, hey, I have this really cool friend, John. I tell John, hey, I have this really cool friend, Mike. Let's all get together. Our other friend, Apache, was down to meet up. And we sit down and say, let's make something up. So our first thing back was Writer's Block, right? Was that before? Yeah.
Writer's Block, yeah. And it's funny how much we get together and just like look at each other and be like, so what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We always come together knowing we want to do something film-wise, but like it was right after Writer's Block that we decided that like we should actually start writing stuff. And like we were writing all kinds of projects and like trying to get them done at least once a week, which was crazy when I think about it now. But Writer's Block, all these last few shorts, these creative Sundays.
4,000 on Writer's Block. We were back with a bang, man.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was pretty well received. And that was cool because it was different for you because it was comedy.
Yeah, and it was a true story.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is how you guys see the movie is exactly how it went down. We got together, we came up with all the ideas until we're having a Writer's Block is exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. It was a little reenacted a little bit, but that was it. That was what happened. And like John said, after that, we were like, let's write something, which is now we're to that story that we were telling you guys. So what I like doing, and John probably hates, is so we get together on Sundays. So usually on Saturday, I call John and I'm like, John, you're one of the best writers in the group. Because I think Rachel wasn't quite back in yet. So because Rachel's an amazing writer too, but John's really fast, and me and John are very similar when it comes to, we did a new short pretty soon, and we were trying. You remember when you went under that bridge and you started looking like? Yeah. I was like, I turned to Mike and I was like, that's something I would do. Like it's we're always like so like went with our style and what we think, but I was like, hey, I have this idea. And he's like, what's up, man? Yeah, always, what's up, man? So I was like, hey, so this guy is getting tortured, right? But that's not really the main part. Like, he's getting tortured, and you were like, why? And I was like, wait a minute. So then after he gets tortured, he, like, beats all these people up. And John's like, but why? And I was like, wait. John's more into story. I'm just like, let me get to what I'm seeing. And then they walk out, and then you see the back of them, and they're looking over a city. And I was like, write something. And he's like, And I was like, and do you think he could be done by tomorrow? He's like, yeah, fuck it, I will. So you take over. Because after that, it was all yours after that.
Oh, before we get into talk. About Keepsake, let's talk about like how we planned it though, because right after Writer's Block, once we got done with Writer's Block, you guys, I had come over and you and Mike had just finished watching Judge Dredd.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You love that movie, and so many different moments of it inspired you.
So many different moments.
Huh?
So many different moments. Like, that movie's crazy.
Keepsake was inspired from one moment where they break, because basically in that movie at one part, they're basically locked into one giant apartment block. But there's one part where they break a wall, and they get to go outside, and there's like a half pipe and all these high school kids, and it's snowing. And that's what inspired Keepsake, because Charles is like, I want to do something like that. And then that inspired a little idea that he pitched to me, and then I wrote Keepsake. Now we have one that's a French title, and a lot of you, even a lot of the people in the crew don't know how to say, so you guys probably won't know, but it's Coupe de Foudre.
I call it Flügeln.
And it basically, in French, it's a dual meaning. It means, it literally means lightning strike, but they use it as a term of phrase to mean love at first sight. So, that one was inspired because there's a scene where like the alarms go off and like everything is red and there's like these red lights blaring, and like we did a more exaggerated version of it, but that's what inspired that one. And
actually, Writer's Block. You meant when coming up the stairs, and it's not up the stairs, but when you're opening the door and it's all white.
Glowing.
Yeah, damn, we went through a Dredd phase for a minute.
Because I remember you
the slow-mo thing, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we wanted to do a video that was like all in slow-mo and stuff too. Because I remember you pulled up like the notes in your phone and like you were writing down like all the like different special.
Damn,
like,
we were hungry for a minute.
Because the way you think in like visuals and special effects, and then you pitch them to me, and I work them into some kind of narrative, and it was really cool the way it worked that way because it was so cohesive. But Keepsake, after he pitched it to me, I was recently starting to play through the video games BioShock again. And I was so inspired by BioShock at the moment that I wrote this kind of this gritty drama that had like a little bit of action in it, but it was also had like sci-fi elements sprinkled into it, where this guy, like Charles was saying, was being tortured. And he gets out, and he beats up the people that are torturing him. But then he's getting out of this building that he's being detained in, and he meets this guy, which turns out to be the boss. And the guy reveals to him the true reality of what was happening in the situation. Which, like, the guy. Should I tell the narrative? Should I?
I want it all the way because I'm like. As you're telling it, I'm like, we're gonna do it one day.
Yeah. Okay. So there is a twist in it when basically like this guy that you think is being tortured and hurt is actually the twist is that he went there looking for help, and pretty much the situation that he's in is because of himself. And you'll find out why. Maybe 3 years from now when the short actually gets made.
we filmed it once, and it was my fault the first time because I remember calling John later that night and I said, bro, I wasn't too thrilled. And he's like, why, dude, what's up? And I was like, I felt like I was just saying words and I couldn't find where my guy was coming from into the last sentence. I felt something. And he's like, nah, dude, you did fine. I think it was like 20 minutes later he called me back. You're like, no, dude, you're right. I like, you did something in the last sentence that just changed everything. I'm going to change a couple words, okay? And I'm going to send it to you. And he sent it to me. And every part of my dialogue just had a couple words switched up here and there. But it changed it to fit how I was kind of going at the end of that last sentence. So then we were like, fuck it, we're refilming it. So we went back and refilmed it, which there's so many cool things. There was so many, even the projector idea. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't know if we're there yet, because it's kind of ambitious for us. Not crazy, but I mean, it would be one of our higher end themes. You know what I mean? But it's so cool.
It definitely had the most, like, besides Driver, it had, because Driver was the most professional, like, production wise. Like, we had a script written, we broke it down into shot lists, and like had everything figured out. But Keepsake, like, was the most professional in the sense that, like, post production was going to demand so much work from us, VFX wise, like. Yeah, mostly VFX wise and editing, because there was so much that goes into it. But the actual, like, production and filming of it was so, like, stripped down to the bare minimum. Like, everything was already there for us when we showed up, because we used an abandoned location, and it was such a sick location. And, like, we were just looking around, and we had a bunch of stuff there that we already needed.
But we might be able to. What one of the problems came down to was, one, we kept on running out of light.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wanted to take out the background and put a futuristic background. But
so I think the first time we did it, because you just reminded me, not only was, like, the acting part of it what made us go back and redo it, but because we ran out of light, the ending, when I finally go outside, was all so rushed, and, like, none of the angles or anything. Like, it went from, like, looking really professional and really good to kind of looking, like, it definitely
like we were back on the $100 cameras.
Yeah, and, like, and for me as a perfectionist, like, I go crazy about stuff like that, and usually Charles can be like, no, it's cool, let's just get it done and get it out. Like,
I'm
Charles
a rusher.
Charles is good about getting stuff out on time. I'm good about making things look perfect and never getting them out. So
perfect team.
Yeah. So that was another reason we went out and did it. But I'm so glad we did, because Mike got, like, he got so much more beautiful shots at the end, and the acting got better because we actually had the time to rehearse it. So the acting got better, the cinematography got better, and everything was matching, and everything was just so on point.
I had dreads and my hair caught on fire.
Yeah, that would have been a great blooper.
Yeah.
And no, like, so much of it looked so freaking good, and, like, I was editing it as we were filming, because it took us 3 different days to film it as we went back and, like, tried to refilm different aspects of it, because everyone liked the project so much, they were so passionate about it, that they were willing to go back multiple times and refilm some of the weaker points. So it was really cool, because it was like as we were doing production and filming, we were also doing, like, pre-production and pre-vising.
And
so
I think that's what was getting everyone excited too. Hey, look at last week.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Everyone's like, oh, fuck yeah, let's go do that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, like, you know, it was like, hey, this worked out really well, but this part doesn't look so good. So they're like, all right, well, let's just go back and refilm it then. Like, everyone was just so down for it, and it was super cool. It was like, it was really, like, everyone's energy was so high, and that's like that's when we really felt like Cruella was back. Like, we did writer's block, but when we did Keepsake, it really felt like, yeah, we're back at it.
And I think next time we talked about, instead of changing the whole background, we're just going to put buildings way in the back.
Yeah,
right?
just do a matte paint.
Yeah, because that'd be a lot easier than.
Yeah, because it was really tough, because
we would still be probably working in. I don't know. We messed up because the second time we tried to use a green screen. I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't position it right, so then it would have to, like, require me to, like, recreate the scene, like. And
that was my bad. I was trying to get rid of the trees instead of just being like, hey, we could be in a forest and the city's just way out there. Just matte paint it.
Well, it was my idea too, because before we were doing it, I was just gonna, like, I was gonna take out the sky, do, like, a sky replacement. But then because I take out the sky, I can put the city out there. And you wanted to put,
like a ship, like little ships,
and,
right?
Yeah.
I was like, what do you call those?
I don't know, spaceships.
Yeah, spaceship. That's what I was like, do you say spaceship? I don't know. That sounds kind of corny.
In the end, I think it was just too ambitious for us, because we didn't plan it. We just showed up and we're like, all right, let's try this and see if it works, you know? And, like, basically we figured out real quick that, like, everything we were trying was a failure. And because we were already in production of the video and being like, well, everything we're filming we have to run with, we didn't, like, realize, oh crap, we should have planned this, and, like, everything we're trying now should have been, like, us planning for it beforehand. So when we got out there and actually did it, we were ready and wouldn't run into this problem. So, and it's really unfortunate because you could almost think like, oh, well, why can't you just get up to the point where the VFX happens and then refilm all that? But it's like, at the time, like, I had hair that was super long.
Both of us. And
I had a beard that was super long. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We both, like, we looked like completely different people.
Writer's Block, we almost look like brothers. And we both look totally different than that now.
Yeah. And it almost worked for the look, too. Like, and another thing that makes me hesitant about going back and refilming Keepsake is, like, I had that, like, really, like, disgruntled, like, savage look because my hair was all long, messed up, and my beard was long. Like, it was like, this guy's really been put through the ringer. And now I'm, like, a little more cleaned up and clean cut. I'm like, but, yeah.
You went to the editing bay to do that, and I called you. So that was probably a Sunday or a Monday. I think it was a Sunday and a Monday. So on probably the next Saturday coming up, I called John again, and I was like, hey, I got this idea. And he's like, what's up, man? And I was like, hey, I was thinking like this, there's this person that has electrical powers, and let's just do an action scene. I'm watching Dread again. I think I was like watching Dread for like a month straight. And I was like, actually, you were here with me when you were watching it.
Yeah, because you watched it with Mike, and I caught a little bit of it. And, like, I wasn't necessarily, like, stoked about watching the movie because I didn't know, like, the reviews or anything on it. But, like, I know, like, you were super into it. So I was like, hey, I'll come over and I'll watch it with you. So we, like, sat down and watched the movie together.
And we both liked this scene that was red. So I think we were both like, hey, that's cool. And we were like, yeah, we should do one of our short films in red. So that was, like, through the week. And then on Saturday, I was like, okay, so this person has electrical powers and you don't find that out until the end, and let's do a fucking explosion. And Mike right away was like, we can't do no explosion. And as soon as I told John's like, we could fucking do an explosion. So I was like, yeah, we could, like, we'll just like have some actors jump out of a door and, throw dust. And he's like, yeah, and I'm pretty sure I could put like an explosion coming out of the door. And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. So, yeah, we did that one that, what's the name again? Flushkin?
Coop the food.
So we got our good friend Rachel back involved, and John got to meet Rachel. And you wanna give your take on writing that one and me hitting you up a day before again?
So, I don't even know if it was you hitting me a day up before or the fact that I was just so busy, because I think what comes after this video is Driver, right?
Yep.
So after Drivers, when I went to go film in LA.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that in a minute, because that was definitely a life changer for both of us.
I just remember my life.
I think you got two jobs busy. Right here. You're editing the effects on whatchamacallit. We're getting together every week. We're still doing podcasts at this time.
Mm-hmm. I was a very busy guy, and I kept myself busy for no reason. I was working two jobs, and that couldn't be helped, but all the responsibility I was taking on in Cruella, I did to myself, because I was, honestly, I'm like really controlling with the projects. And I was just like, yeah, I want to edit. I want to do all the coloring. I want to do all the VFX on them and stuff. And like, I took on so much. And, but I was also like the main writer for Cruella too, and writing all these projects. So
yeah, for a good minute, you were doing like everything, like every single, for the first couple videos, it was John doing 90% of behind the scenes of Cruella and still being in front of the camera.
It was just so nuts. Like, because I mean, this is like, whether people like our stuff or not, whether people think it's good or not, it has been like the best learning experience for me, and has led up to what my next step in life is, to finally do my first directorial of a short film that I want to enter into a film festival, but we'll get to that later.
Dude, almost 7,000 views since we've been back. I think that's our highest one, which actually blows my mind, because I actually don't hear anyone talk about that one. I was about to say that. I was going to tell you, this one's so underrated. It's pretty good. Like, there's a couple shots that we rushed because I think we got together, like, all of us after work. Rachel came from Fresno, which is an hour away for you guys that don't know. We didn't want her driving back too late. So we had to rush some parts and...
Filmed it in 2 hours flat.
Yeah.
2 hours flat. It's a 4-minute video, and you guys might think, like, it took you 2 hours to film 4 minutes, but, like, you have no idea. Especially since...
We flooded my bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah, he flooded his bathroom. Nobody had time to rehearse their lines, so, like, you can imagine that kind of nightmare. And then planning out the fight scene, like, I think that's one of the coolest.
We had people coming at different times.
Yeah.
Everybody you see, Rachel, John, me, and Apache.
And Mike.
Was Mike here the whole time, though?
Mike was here the whole time.
Okay, and Mike were here the whole time.
Because he filmed everything in the bathroom.
Okay. Everyone else, though, you see, the other people fighting... okay, I think it's just Johannes and Pinto. Is there anyone I'm missing? No, just them two. Okay, they came at different times, though, so we had to kind of go around that as well.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so that... And, like, to choreograph, like, a fight scene is super, super difficult because you don't want it to look like crap. You don't ever want any of your stuff to look like crap. And, like, I didn't really get to take my time with it, but I did, like, kind of have an idea. Before I go into anything, because I wrote it, I usually have an idea of how I want scenes to look. But I wrote this whole thing in an hour. I got off work on a Saturday. Did we film it on a Saturday then? Because I thought it was filmed on Sundays.
I think I called you on a Saturday, and I said, "Are you busy?" What's up, man? And I said, "Are you busy?" You said, "I'm just at work." And okay. I think I told you, "Hey, you remember the red idea? Let's do this. Make a story. Can you do it by tomorrow? I'm going to call Rachel." And that's never a good call when I have to call Rachel and say, "Come film," and she doesn't know a story yet.
Yeah.
But she's always game for us, which is amazing. But I know that's like her and John's one of their pet peeves.
So,
but I think we did it on Sunday or Monday.
It must have been then. Yeah.
It may have been a Monday though, because I remember not having that much time. So I'm wanting to say we were all at work in the morning.
Yeah. So it could have been a Monday or it could have been Saturday. Either way, I wrote it in an hour. And what always cracks me up is I wrote this character. I play this villain in it, and I hate watching myself on camera. Like it makes me cringe so hard. But someone told me at that time in my life, because I had the long hair and I always put it up in a man bun, and I wear glasses. Someone came up to me and they're like, "Hey, you look like Joseph Seed from Far Cry 5."
I heard that a couple of times, which I thought was awesome.
Someone commented on the YouTube page. There's a comment on there, and they're like, "Is that guy supposed to be Joseph Seed from Far Cry 5?" And I was like, "Ah, oh, damn it, he saw right through me." But it wasn't necessarily like I wrote this character to be Joseph Seed. I just happened to look like him, and I liked the way he looked. But really, I based it off a different cult leader, the guy from Waco, who I can't remember his name. It's like David something. But he was a pretty crazy guy who was like very religious. So I based it on him, and because I knew I wanted to do something with like a cult leader, and there was this girl. I knew there was going to be this character that had electric powers. I was like, all right, what am I going to do? I'm like, why don't I do something where they're trying.
Why does he have electric powers? I don't know. Just let's make it.
So I was like, oh, how do I write a narrative around this? And like, it's hard to remember exactly what was going through my head at that time, but
it was 5 months, dude. That feels like at least a year ago.
It felt like a very long time ago.
I can't believe that was only 5 months ago.
But they I just knew I wanted to do something that was like she really wanted to get away from this cult leader, and he wasn't going to have it. Like he had this very twisted version of love where like she was basically his property. So I was like, I did a little bit of research. I went and I watched a bunch of videos on that cult leader from Waco, and I was just like studying him as a person. And then I just started writing it, and like in an hour, I had this story, and like it's a small script. It was only like a page long between the two people talking, but like to get it done in an hour was kind of mind blowing for me to think about it now, because it's hard for me to even. To get started on a project now. I feel like I exhausted all my creativity back then when we were like constantly putting out projects.
We did. We were hitting it fast, and that put us all in a little. The creative juices were drained.
Yeah.
But me and John were getting so depressed because. I mean, we were doing something basically every week, and it wasn't even a long break. I want to say it was maybe like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And me and John are like, hey, I'm not okay, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not okay either. He's like, dude, you don't got any ideas, nothing? Because I'm drained. I was like, I don't have nothing, dude. He's like, you don't have any stories at all. Nothing. And he's like, pitch something to me, man. Just pitch it. And I was like, I don't have nothing. Dude, wait a minute. I got an old computer that I just got back. Let me send you... Did I send you a couple or just one?
Just one.
Just one? I think I have a couple on there. And I was like, I think I got a couple on there. Let me send you one. And I looked through them, and there was one I always liked. And God damn it, I'm so glad I didn't do it. I wrote it 5 years ago. And I was thinking the whole time, too, because now me and John know each other. Mm-hmm. This ain't like... you're very humble. I'm not saying you're not humble, but now I know, like, oh no, this guy was just being very polite the first time we met. He knows his shit. He knows what to do. He knows everything, you know. I'm going to be super embarrassed. This is 5 years ago. This is like, and I sent it to him, and I think that day you didn't text me. You were probably, but not because of the script. I think you were probably busy or something. Mm-hmm. I was like, fuck, he hated it. But it's okay. It's been sitting there for like 5 years. I haven't even read it myself. You know what I mean? I just know this is really old. The next day, I think you text me like a paragraph, like a book. Like you were just like, dude, that was fucking awesome. That was amazing. What is this? When did you write it? What about this and that? And I was like, I think I even put like, are you serious? Like I put something like, are you fucking with me right now? He's like, no, dude, that sounds really awesome. And I don't know if maybe because we were just so fucking like, please, let's do anything, or if you actually thought it was good. But you know what? It's going to come. I think it's proven that it was actually pretty cool.
No, I really like. I mean, I really, really did like it because it was dark, and it was like everything that like we as filmmakers are that we share in common with the way we write and the way we make films. Is like, it was like right up my alley. Like sometimes I read people's stuff and like. Every filmmaker has their own voice and has their own perception of how something is. So that's why it's like really tough for a lot of people that write their own projects want to direct their own projects because they want to see exactly how they pictured it.
Well, yeah, we definitely have to get into that.
Yeah.
So I think I said, so when we start filming, you could do this and that. And he was like, oh, I think you should act in it. And I said, nah, not me, bro. I think you should act in it. And he said, something about Driver came up. I mean, not Driver. Drive.
The film with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, and I said, I wrote it. I was pissed when Drive came out because I wrote it. I think I wrote it after, but I didn't see Drive yet. Mm-hmm. So I wrote it not knowing about the movie Drive. And I think as soon as I started talking, I think John got a whole bunch of red flags like, oh shit, dude, if you direct this, I could already tell that it's going to go through that Drive. It's going to be too similar to Drive. And he didn't tell me that, but I think that's what he was feeling maybe.
No, I didn't. Because
how did this come up?
Because I had never seen Drive.
Oh,
so
no.
I didn't know anything about it. But I started looking into it, and that started inspiring me even more on the film. But what happened was we did Keepsake. We did Writer's Block. We did Coupe de Food. We did 3 projects back to back, and I was always a lead in them one way or another. And I was like, dude, I feel like I'm hogging all the roles. Like,
oh yes, I do remember this. And I said, no, it's okay.
Yeah, but then you're like, well, do you want to direct or do you want to act? And I was like, And deep down, I felt like I wanted to act, but I didn't want to be selfish and be like, give me all the roles, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, if I don't act in it, who's going to act in it? And that was kind of my way of being like, who's going to act in it? I'm the only one.
Yeah, and I was I don't know.
But eventually it came down to Charles relinquishing it. And he was like, well, you can direct and I can act. And I was like, actually, that would be really cool because, you know, you wrote it, but like me directing, like it might come out completely different from how you imagined, or it might come out like a lot like how you imagined because we think alike on so many different things. So that was something really, really crazy because, and it's something I want to do again back and forth because Charles wrote it, but I directed it. And he got to act in it, and it's something crazy because it's.
You didn't even want the small girl in there. I had a bet. You remember? I was like, dude, we really need someone.
Someone dropped out, didn't they?
I think so.
Someone dropped out.
And you're like, I do not want to do it.
You didn't even want me to do it. And you're like, why? You're like, he shouldn't have to direct and act in it.
Yeah.
So.
But I thought the part was perfect, and I definitely love our little scene together. But sorry, go ahead. Keep on going.
But yeah, it's amazing to me when another filmmaker can trust someone to make their vision. And I'm sure this turned out nothing like how he imagined, but like in the end, we were all so happy with it.
Yes, it didn't at all. And I told you, hey, I'm actually glad that I didn't direct it because I think unintentionally I would have made it more like Drive, you know, and this actually, it wasn't exactly how I intended, but in all the right ways. Do you know what I mean? And like John has said a couple times, besides Keepsake, this was the most like professional. It was. We had reshoot days. We had everybody there was like.
Yeah, we had to do pickups because like we were shooting until like 11 o'clock at night, and like people had work the next day.
Yeah,
so
everybody was so great, and everybody was listening to John. We had Joel. He didn't move yet, huh? No, he was still here, but he's a busy man, a family man. He came. Me and Rachel had a sex scene, which I think was everybody's first time doing something like that. And everyone,
and you threw all that in at the last minute too. That wasn't even in the original script.
It was. I don't know if I should get into the reasons why. Let's just say, Drive. I felt like there was just a little thing missing, even though John was already like, dude, I love Drive. The Driver. Sorry. I love The Driver. I was like, what if this guy, you know how there's that scene at the girl, spoilers guys, but if you're watching this, obviously you've seen our work. At the end, there's a girl that kind of, you didn't see it coming, but she's actually involved in the whole thing. So I was like, what if this guy has like not trust issues with girls, but just don't know how to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he's just not good with his choices when it comes to girls. Let's say that. And so, I felt I was going through some stuff in life, and I just wanted to add some personal things to kind of help me get into the character more and more real to my life and stuff. And this was the first, because John, I've never been an actor. I've tried to put myself in little parts. Sometimes I've had to do kind of bigger parts, but trust me, I was not acting. I was stumbling my way through. But with Keepsake, John was like, hey, dude, you're pretty solid. And that meant the world coming from me, from John, because I've always told John, I think you're a really, really solid actor, dude. I try to put him in front of the camera as much as I can. And that was another reason. He's like, hey, I've been doing all the stuff. You just showed in Keepsake that you could do it. Like, I think this would be cool. And so I was like, okay, dude, I'm trusting you to lead me. And if he did not lead me to the fucking finish line, and not only that, though, this was my first time being serious, trying to get into mindsets and like really being serious and feeling the emotion of what you should be feeling. Do you remember that one day I called you, bro? And I think it was after the first day we filmed because the reshoots were the next week. And you're like, hey, bro, that was really good. That was really fun. And I was like kind of short. And you're like, what's up, man? You had fun, right? And I was like, dude, that was hard. I was like, dude, I don't know how you do it. Like, I was really depressed that night. Like after we got done, it was hard, dude. That was now that it's been, I thought like fucking almost a year, but it only says, what was it, like 4 months or
4 months
something?
ago, yeah.
I'm almost hungry to do something like that again.
Yeah.
Like really be serious and really just like try to act my ass off. That kills me right there. There's two parts that are a little messed up in this video, but was that not? It was hard, dude. It was hard,
but it was so much fun. Like, and being on set.
We have a behind the scenes video that shows how much fun it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, and my favorite parts of it though are everything that came from the script though. Like once we actually get into once it actually starts, like, because all this is scripted.
Mm-hmm.
Like all this on is like, I feel like my favorite parts of the film.
I wish we could redo that green screen, man. Or it's bad. It's not horrible. It's bad, but it could. I know we could do it so much better now, or even just go for a real drive.
Yeah,
that's the only weak part. I feel like is
this right here,
and not even all of it. It's certain times. Watch, like that's not that bad.
Oh.
I like the shadow going off your face. I think it's a lot of the Joel parts. He's really dark. Like right there was no green screen. I fucked up. It doesn't look too shabby, I guess. Because it's like fucking 120 in like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah, it was hot as shit.
But here's the crazy part. This is something... Have me and John made it? Are we rich? Absolutely not. But... Tell me a dream wouldn't it be to go make a short film with your friends, have fun, and shit comes out of it. Not only I've never thought about this until today when I was like, I just hit up John today. I was like, hey, let's do a pod. I'm always like so last minute. I'm like, John, let's do this, and he's always so game for everything. So I was thinking about the different topics we're going to talk about. And I was like, I know Driver's going to come up. Not only did we have fun, this is where everyone started coming out of the woods, even though this one didn't get as much as the French titled one, the one with Rachel as the lead. This is the one that everyone's like, holy shit, you guys are onto something. Holy shit, you guys have improved. Holy shit, that was really good. Like, not only was that good, the views got a couple of thousand. Not only was that positive for us, but me and John's life changed a little bit from this movie because this was one of the movies that a company saw that I got hired from, and this is what you used a lot for a reel to get your own job. And this one ain't about me. I'll just say I got a job. One of the videos that I showed to get a job was this, but you also did the same, and you want to go into that because that was a big milestone, and definitely because the premiere was today, right? Not the premiere, but
it was on Thursday. Oh yeah, the first episode of this. It's the first Instagram TV scripted, scripted for Instagram TV. You guys can check that out. It's called #GhostWritersTV. The actual is @GhostWritersTV, and every episode
we'll try to put a link in the wherever this is going somehow. Yeah. I'll try to do that.
So right now we're in the month of May, right?
Yeah.
So it's May 13th.
13th?
And every Monday from this point on, for the next 9 Mondays, a new episode will come out, which I'm really stoked about. If you're a fan, if you're a fan of like The Office, Parks and Rec, Superstore, Arrested Development, shows like that, like the comedies that are like mockumentary style, then you'll enjoy it. Or if you just want to see something that I've worked on, go support that. All the more reason. But my friend, who's my business partner, who's always been there for me, and the guy that got me into filmmaking from the start, he just hit me up with a message one day, and all it said was, John, meet Sebastian. And I noticed on the Facebook Messenger there was another person tagged into it, so I was like, okay, this is interesting. I'm like, all right, well, hey, Sebastian, how you doing? You know, and turns out this guy is a director and out in LA, and they needed a cinematographer for the show, and they approached my friend Alec about it first, but he self-admittedly is not a cinematographer, and he felt that I was better suited for it. and passed it on to me, which was a very nice thing for him to do. And because of Coupe de Food, Driver, and even Keepsake, I used some Keepsake on it because I had all the footage and I was working on it and it never got done. I put together a reel and I sent it off to them, and because they were considering another guy, and like, man, all my insecurities were firing off at once. I was like, this is like an actual professional job. Like, I'm not ready for this. I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I'm not a good enough cinematographer. And then, but my amazing girlfriend, who's been by my side all this time and always pushed me to do more, she like convinced me. She's like, what's the worst that can happen? You know? So I sent off a reel, and they're like, okay, we want to offer you the job. So I was like, cool. So originally the job was, there was going to be 2 weekends. I was booked for the first weekend, 2 days. And then the second weekend they had another guy that was already on for it. So I get out there to LA.
But wasn't it like, I may be jumping the shark because it may have been the second weekend, spoiler, but was it the first weekend, like when you turned in your stuff, you heard like, was it like the day before or days before, or was it, no, am I getting that wrong?
What do you mean?
Like, didn't they tell you, like, because you went up Saturday, right?
Yeah, Friday and Saturdays were the days that I filmed.
Didn't you find out the news on like Thursday or something, or no? Am I true?
That I got hired?
Yeah.
Oh, I got hired probably like 2 weeks in advance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I got hired in 2 weeks in advance, and I got to like study up on the scripts and stuff, and that was like right after we finished. It might have been during the time that we were working on Driver that like it happened, because I did have some of Driver's footage, and Driver took us 3 different days to film.
I think we were done filming, but we were editing.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, so it was right around Driver. So there was about like a week or two, and I remember like talking to me and Charles used to talk like a lot back then. Not like we don't talk a lot now, but like almost every day we would call each other and talk, and sometimes we'd end up like 2-hour conversations.
Yeah.
But I was just telling him, I was like, dude, like I don't even know how to feel. Like I'm working on Keepsake and like, you know, Drivers.
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Keepsake we still weren't giving up on it yet.
Keepsake put me probably in the most negative headspace because there was no way of saving it, but I was so determined to, because we put so much hard work into it, and it was like, to this day, I still feel like it's one of the best things we've ever done. And it's just really sad that it will never get out there. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can even... I don't even think I have the footage.
I think I have some.
Yeah.
Like
I was going to say, we could just release it like as it is. But,
so you get down there.
Yes, I get down there. My like anxiety is like crazy. Like,
you work the night before?
Yeah. No, that's the second weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I keep on confusing everything for the second weekend that you didn't know of yet. So I keep on giving spoilers. Okay, go ahead.
So the first weekend, like, it was all planned out. We went down there. We got an Airbnb, and like me and my girlfriend were going to try and make like a vacation out of it at the same time, because like I worked a lot, 2 jobs. My only day off was Sunday, and I always reserved that day for filming with Cruella. So it was like 7 days of the week I was filming, and every time I got off work, I went straight home to work. I went straight home from work, and I was editing some project or another, or writing for like the next project. So like there was something always going on. I burnt myself out really fast, and I remember talking to Charles. I was like, dude, like I don't even know how to feel now, and like I got all this shit going on, and I got to get ready. Like I got to study and get ready for this professional shoot going. I'm like, I'm gonna be working with all these people.
And at the same time, we were filming Wolverine, weren't we?
No, I came.
Or is that right when you got back?
I came back. Yeah.
Okay. Well, before the Wolverine thing, though, the group started. You know, we, like John said, not only is he getting overwhelmed with working 2 jobs and this big shoot about to come, but the filming thing was starting to get a little much, because we were just hitting it hard.
We were filming every week, but we weren't releasing anything.
Yeah.
And everybody, and like, I don't blame anybody in the crew, but when it comes down to the people that were working in post, it was either just me or Charles.
Yeah.
And at that time, like I was kind of like hogging all the projects. And
still putting your heart into Keepsake with that crazy. I do visual effects now, and it's the most time-consuming thing. Like, you really have to be in love. You know what I mean? And you're just sitting there trying your damnedest to get me and you out of that, to change the background, you know, hours and hours for
so much rotoscoping.
2 seconds of the clip.
Yeah, and like we don't have good gear either, guys. We were working on freaking like laptops that were like i4 processors, and like my laptop would be like screaming at me like, please stop. Like I was
you
just
do this
like
in Photoshop.
I was like killing it. My poor laptop. Eventually my laptop did die on me. It finally bit the dust. And but like, you know, I don't take my times with things, but I am a perfectionist and I want things to look as professional level as possible. And that's what kind of like created this like bottlenecking for us in our projects, where like we were filming something every week, but we weren't releasing everything. And everybody in Cruella was like, I don't blame them, because they were excited probably to see everything that they've been working on, because it's been a whole new Cruella, but they were like, where's the projects, and like I was getting so frustrated because I was doing so much, and like I feel like I was doing the best I could, and at that time I should have just like let some of the responsibility go and let other people do it. But
it was just, everybody was so just, it was just a lot to ask for. You know, I kind of like a producer of everything. I kind of like oversee everything, and I let everybody get burned out. But that's not the point yet. We're going to get there in a minute. Because while this was building up, though, you get to go and live the dream. So you arrive, and how did that go?
It was, I was scared shitless, honestly.
I can imagine.
And I like showed up. So shooting days were 12 hours a day, and I did not expect that. Like I got the schedule like the night before I was supposed to be there, and Kat and I were thinking maybe a couple hours out of the day, and then we had the rest of the day like hang out in LA. And I get my schedule, and I'm like, oh, I'm shooting from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. every day, and the shooting was in Calabasas, but I was in. I don't remember where I was. It was a different district in LA, but basically I had to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning so I could get ready, grab all my gear, and then we would drive out to Calabasas to be on set at 6 a.m. And because like it was a professional shoot, I showed up 30 minutes early every day, and nobody else showed up that early. So I was out in the parking lot alone, just like waiting anxiously for people to show up.
Stomach twisting.
Mm-hmm. But once it started going, it was freaking amazing. And the first day on any set for anybody, if you're ever working with people you don't know, it's always going to be the most anxiety ridden, because it's like your first day of school. Like you got to meet people, you got to figure out who they are, and like figure out who's going to be your friends, and like eventually everyone becomes your friend on set, hopefully. But like the first day, you don't know anybody, so. Once we got through it, the second day was so much better, and like not like the first day wasn't good, because it was so much fun for me to be on set, like doing this professionally for the first time in my life. But like the second day, everyone was like vibing with each other. Like we were all acting like friends, cracking jokes, like being able to like communicate with each other a lot better, so that eventually we were like, you know, when everybody works together better, they create a better product. So I felt like the second day, like we did our best filmmaking that day. So that was my weekend there. And then I come back and...
we had something that we were going to do with you, but I cannot remember the project at all.
It was like a street fighting thing.
Okay. Yeah. I still remember that. Yeah. I didn't know if it was that one, the little underground fighting.
Because you guys were talking about it like crazy in the group chat while I was there.
Yeah.
And like my phone was blowing up, and I was like, so we had multiple group chats, and I hate group chats. I hate them with a passion, because people always blow up in them. So I always silence them. And somehow people always manage to create new group chats and lug you into them. So even though it's the same group of people, it was a new group chat. My phone was going off, and I'm on set, and like I had to find the right opportunity to like go and like silence this group chat so it wasn't going off on my phone all the time. But I text the guys, and I text them real quick, and I was like, "Hey guys, record any like behind the scenes videos," and because they were supposed to film it while I was in LA. So I'm like, record any behind the scenes, and like just keep me up to date. Like even though I'm not there, I want to feel like I'm involved. So like show me what's going on. Unfortunately, they didn't get to do it, but I came back from that weekend, and then so at the time I was bartending, and I would go in for my shift at like 6 o'clock at night and get done close to like 3 a.m. Most nights. Well, before I went into my shift on Saturday, they called me and they're like, "Hey, can you come back and film this last day?" And I was like, "No, I'm sorry." I'm like, I live, I'm 3 hours away from LA. I don't have the money to like get an Airbnb. I don't have the money for like all that stuff. And I was like, one, it's like last minute. Like I'm not gonna be able to I can't call out of work, and I can't get a ride down there. But then they're like, okay, well, maybe like 20 minutes later, they're like, okay, we're really desperate. We're gonna offer you X amount of money. And for me, that was huge because it was,
fuck yeah.
Yeah. So I was like,
used to dream about.
Because I was already getting paid for all the days I was working, but they basically like for one day of work, I made probably like 3 times what I would normally make, as they wanted me back. So that was awesome. So I was like,
so did you end up shooting the whole series?
3 out of 4 days.
Oh, okay.
So I'll get into that in a second because it's an interesting story. So I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'm down. I just need to figure out how I'm going to get there. So the first person I called was Charles, and I was like, Charles, I'm like, they're offering me, this much money. I will split it with you, and you get to hang out with me on set all day, and like. But I knew it was kind of far-fetched. Charles has his own life. He has kids and all this stuff.
It was the kids. Because I remember I was like, dude, I'll try to find a babysitter. Like, because I wanted to go. I was like, dude, I want to be on a set. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'll just go and chill with you. Fuck yeah, that sounds cool as fuck. Like just like I said earlier, when you got offered, like, just to go hang out with the after party for that.
Sharknado?
Yeah. Like, you're not doing nothing, but you're fucking in the scene.
Yeah.
That's still the dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, fuck, let me look for a babysitter. But you called me back pretty fast and was like, hey, I got it taken care of. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Because eventually my amazing, beautiful girlfriend was like, she was like, hey, we're going to make this work, like, no matter what. She's like, this is like an amazing opportunity. Yeah. She's like, this is an amazing opportunity. So she's like, I'm going to take you. Like, we're going to go. And I was like, oh, are you sure? Because that's like, I pulled an all-nighter because I worked my shift at the bar. I got off at 3 a.m., a little bit before 3 a.m. She had all our bags packed already, and like we drove straight to LA just to go straight onto set to be there at 6 a.m. And like I can't even remember how many Red Bulls I drank that day, but I remember like one point in the day I felt like my heart was gonna explode. It was really bad. I felt so sick. But like honestly, it's those moments that like I'll remember forever. Like I won't give them up because like that's I'm sure anyone that's as passionate about filmmaking as I am, like that's something you would do for an opportunity like that.
Credited for it, like they gave you a shout out about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That shows how like appreciative because they could have just. I was the whole time because I didn't see you on stage, so I was like, oh, these motherfuckers, But they credited you so much. Like, they let everybody know, like, hey, this guy fucking bent over backwards for us. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah. And, like, and everybody already... So, I wasn't sure how... after I left, after my first weekend, I was really scared because I knew they had a professional cinematographer for the following weekend booked, and the only reason they had me come out was because he had another shoot already planned for the first 2 days that they were filming, so he could only do the last 2 days.
So did you think you may have been like maybe undercredited?
No, I thought I was gonna suck, and I thought when I left LA. I had my insecurities were running up like so much. I was like, dude, they're gonna hate all the footage that I got from them.
I would be scared to work on such a big project and be like, hey, since they're getting like, like a name, it may not be like I don't know who it was. I don't know if it's like a big name or not. But I mean, I would kind of be scared like, fuck, they're gonna have a name after me. Like, I hope that I still get some kind of recognition. You know what I mean?
And then it's kind of how I felt. because like in the end, I didn't want them to be like, I didn't want this like professional to come on the set on their last 2 days of filming and like blow everything out of the water that I did, and then them think this whole time like, shit, like maybe we should just refilm this stuff, and then like all my work is like gone. But
like it never happened.
But I found out that it was the opposite. They liked me so much better than this other guy, and that's why they called me last minute on the last day of filming to come out there. So like I didn't ask any questions, but when I got out on the set, the director took me into like the green room where the green room is where you like set up all your equipment, or also called like home base, where all your like equipment and stuff is set up. And he took me in there and we're just chatting. He was telling me, and he's like, yeah, the guy didn't have a very good attitude, and like some of the things that he was doing like was very questionable, and like, and I had a phone call with the guy the first before we even started shooting, because since he was the head cinematographer on it, I needed to do things the way he wanted them done, so that when he came on to do it, things would match up. So he was telling me to shoot in like 4K.
Which I really wish we would do in some stuff.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of a touchy subject, kind of, but I really wish we would do stuff like that.
But he was telling me to shoot in 4K and shoot in RAW. And so we get out there on the first day, and we're not even halfway through our first day, and like we're already filling up like I think it was like a 2 terabyte hard drive. Like a solid state drive, and we're like, this isn't gonna work. So we go down to like ProRes. Well, details doesn't matter, but
getting sweaty over there.
Basically, what I'm leading up to is this guy was telling me to do things a certain way, and when he got out onto set to do for his day, he wasn't even doing it. Come to find out, his camera can't even shoot 4K, and he was having me shoot in 4K the whole time, and like. He wanted me to shoot in RAW, and like we didn't even have enough memory to shoot 4 days worth of raw footage, like 4 days, 12 hours, 48 hours of raw footage. Like that's a shit ton of memory. So, and apparently the guy was just kind of a dick. So they basically just fired him off after that one day. And I
thought so, because when I saw, I think you put the opening credits up, and it was only your name.
Well, because I circled my name, and when I circled my name, and
it took out the other name,
and I didn't mean it to be like throw some shade at him, but even Kat pointed it out. She's like, I like how you crossed that guy's name out, and I'm like, it wasn't like that. I was just circling my name.
Yeah, it didn't look like you meant to. Yeah. The line wasn't all big or something. I only saw your name, so I was like, what?
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
It was my name and then his name under, because if you watch the first episode, like I shot at least 75% of that series because I did 3 of the 4 days. But we shot so much stuff, and so much stuff like didn't make it into the actual edit. I potentially could have shot more of it, but I know in the first episode there's at least 2 scenes in there that I knew weren't from my filming, and you could tell there's quite a difference in it. And if I were to sit with people and like point them out and say like, this is what I filmed, and this is what he filmed, you could tell there's a difference. But yeah, they fired him off after that one day, and he was supposed to be the editor too. He was supposed to edit the series.
No, so that means he was for you to fire someone that's going to do 2 positions.
Yeah,
I won't say anything, but that says enough.
That's huge. Yeah. So, but that experience was so great, because when I got on the set, like everybody was like running up to me and giving me a hug and like so happy to see me. The show creator and writer was like, you and your girlfriend can stay at my house for free. You guys don't need to get an Airbnb. Like you'll stay with me tonight. She like bought us dinner and all that stuff. Like everyone was super, super stoked. The director like kept just telling me like everyone was just happy that I came out and did it, and I was happy to go out. Like it was just so great to be, because like my insecurities were killing me that whole time, coming back and not hearing anything about the project. And I was like, man, they're gonna hate everything I did. And then I go back and like everybody like was just so happy to see me, and like that meant like so much to me.
That really motivated the fuck out of me today, bro. When I thought about Driver, and I was just like, I had to stop for a second. I was like, holy fuck. Like, me, like, we got something out of that, out of a short film on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, our lives changed. Like, you just said, I'll remember that memory for the rest of my life. And
I tried.
That's a big credit that you got under your belt and name now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. And I remember, like, I tried telling some of the people in Cruella, I was like, guys, like, I
remember, John, you've always been, and I actually called you recently and I said, hey, I think you were onto something. He set us down once. I'm not going to say the beginning of how it started, but you were just like, hey, listen, we're really good. You know, like, we have potential to be, like, really good. Look at Driver. And I don't know, how do you want to go about that? What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say is, like, after I got done, like, I did have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder when I came back, because working on a professional set, I had learned so much, and I was, like, ready to apply it. But it's something I've never tried to, like, belittle the people around me, but I think there definitely was an ego around me when I did come back, and it did lead to, like, a little bit of problems in the group. But we sat everyone down because we wanted to talk about what we wanted to do with Cruella, because we're like, our projects are getting bigger and better, and the only way to get them better is if we stop, like, if we take away the, like,
we had a problem before this. We did Wolverine, so you just get back from a professional set. We just do Driver, so we're all on a high, and if God didn't just slap us in our ass, we had actors
the
come
biggest
from
crew we've ever worked with.
They're the biggest crew. We had real good actors from all over, from Fresno to, like, the beach here.
Yeah, we had a guy drive out from Bass Lake. We had a guy drive out from, like, Pismo Beach, which all these places are at least a couple hours worth. And they drove out just to be on our shore, like, last minute.
And if that short wasn't, we had a new cameraman that had $1,000 worth of camera stuff. And if that wasn't just the biggest disappointment, because I don't know what it was. It was just our time to kind of get pushed down a little bit, you know what I mean? And then we had this talk. So continue now, just so they kind of get, like, it wasn't just like all this good stuff and then we had one bad thing that just killed everybody's fucking mood and momentum.
Yeah. Am I talking about Wolverine, or am I talking about the talk, like the sit down?
The sit down now, because the sit down was after Wolverine. So I just wanted to describe more of the vibe going into that talk.
Yeah. So it was kind of this thing where it's like, we can't go into a project ill-prepared anymore. Like, we can't go on there.
Because it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing.
It
Definitely.
really was.
Like,
because we've always worked with just Cruella, like, when we say that, like, anytime we say Cruella, like, we think of it as, like, a brand or as a company, but, like, it's just a bunch of friends together. So, like, think about you and your friends getting together to go and shoot films. It's going to be loose. It's going to be fun. You guys can, like, fuck around and do whatever you want. This wasn't the case. We were working for the first time ever. The only person that was affiliated with Cruella that was actually on camera was Apache. And he played
in it?
Yeah, he played one of the soldiers.
Yeah.
He played a small role. Everybody was someone that was a aspiring actor or working actor in some way or another.
I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah. That's mind blowing.
Cruella was merely just like the production company at this time. Like, we were all behind the camera.
Fuck.
Which was so crazy to us, and like it was awesome because we did like an old man Logan thing. We had two guys that do like professional cosplay of these characters. One guy was Captain America, and his fucking Captain America suit was so on point. Like, his Captain America suit was worth more than like our cars.
Yeah.
He put thousands of dollars into it. And we were like having them walk through. We went out to this like nature preserve, and we were having them like walk up like overgrown grassy hills to stand on top of a giant log that was like 15 feet off the ground, and like, you know, we were putting through all this stuff. And the Wolverine guy, like we had him acting in it, and then all these people that came from like hours away to just be in it, and like I felt super crappy because I didn't know they came from that far. And even Charles, like you didn't even know they came from that far. You just found out they were down to like be in it.
Yeah.
And
I didn't ask anyone like, where are you at?
And we didn't make them anything more than like glorified extras.
Yeah.
And it was kind of sad, like, because we're not those kind of filmmakers. Like if like you're dedicated to help us with our vision, like we're gonna make it work for you. Like so many times we've put in like last minute lines or last minute parts for people that have come out to like show up and support
Some
us.
people get mad at me for that, and I'm like, dude, if they're gonna come over here, they're gonna get some fucking talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at least.
And if they want it, and if they don't want it,
yeah,
it's like yeah. So like, but that wasn't the case this time, and basically what it came down to when we finally sat down and talked about it is like, guys, we're bigger and better than we ever were before, but that means like we need to take the time to make the projects now. And beyond that was like, because I had come off of that professional set, I was trying to convince everyone and motivate them. I was like, guys, I just got hired on to do like my first professional gig ever. Because of work that we've done for Cruella. Work that like we do that we think is just fun, and like friends getting together and doing stuff for YouTube for ourselves is bigger than that. Like you guys, if you've never thought about being able to work professionally in the industry, like you should really reconsider it now, because like I'm living proof, like I'm showing you guys now, and like none of and I didn't want to be like, yeah, the reel was all me, or like, you know, it was all the work that I did and I worked hard for it. I'm like, we all worked hard together to do that. And I'm like, we had this girl named Kaylee who does makeup, and I'm like, Kaylee, like your makeup's featured in our videos. Like you could be getting, you know, there's not enough makeup artists out there. Like, you know, start doing makeup in videos, or like Apache's like a stunt guy and an extra and like all this stuff. Like there's not enough stunt people out there, and they're definitely not acknowledged enough in the industry.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Mike's an amazing cinematographer, and like way better cinematographer than I was. Like I by trade would not say I'm a cinematographer or a DP. Like I would rather be a director and a writer, but I do get into cinematography. But like if I can get a job as a DP and a cinematographer, Mike should have no problem. Like people should just be offering jobs to him.
Yeah.
And that's what I was just trying to get across to everybody in the group. I was like, we're doing more than what you guys are giving yourselves credit for. Like we're doing something really great here, guys. Like, and if we start taking yourself seriously, and like all the stuff we're doing seriously, and we start planning and like, you know, just investing into the projects the time and effort that it deserves, is going to be so much better.
Real fast, because you just brought up a point that like you're like our stuff is like, you're like people will look at our stuff. People look at our stuff. For around our area, we are. Does it ever bug you? Because you've been a part of Cruella now for over a year, in a big part. Because like I said, a couple months ago, felt like 5 years ago, but a couple months ago, you were doing 90% of everything. Would you, does it ever bug you that we are kind of the underdogs and not in the circle around here?
Yes and no.
Same answer here.
Yes and no, because
like we're like not credited around here. Like we are not in the circle for some reason. I don't know if that's because of us, not because we're like dicks or something, but I mean because we don't like kind of put ourselves in that circle.
Yeah, it's definitely because it's almost like cliques in high school, where like you have like the popular kids and then you have like the jocks and stuff, and like there's already we're definitely the skaters of the yeah, you know, kind of like that dark outcasts that are like throwing themselves off staircases to make themselves look cool.
Because we're like
a very good way to put it.
Like for some reason, like we've had I don't know, I don't even know how to. If you guys are just tuning in, like for the first time, like this podcast is the first time you've heard of us. for around here, we get a good amount of views and a good amount of people know us. But for the filming circle, for whatever reason, we just do not fit in. We're just not part of it for some reason. Yeah. And it's always bugged me.
No one's ever approached us except for one person, and that didn't work out well. But but people don't approach us, and that even still, like I've posted in the Fresno Filmmakers Alliance, trying to help out other like filmmakers outside of Cruella. I was looking for actors, and people were just like, they're like I was saying earlier, they're just clicked up, and certain people they'll make like a film or something, and they'll put it out there for people, and everyone will rally around it. And like if you're like a director and you directed it, you're gonna establish yourself, and now everyone's gonna like want to gravitate around you. I think people just like they see someone gets established as like the force within the filmmaking community, and they're like, okay, well, I want to work with that guy and only that guy. Like I've seen a guy who's directed like a project now, and I've been part of Fresno Filmmakers since I was 19, when I was barely getting started. And I've been out to their like mixers and stuff in the past, and I saw the people that were all sitting at the table together, all talking, and you felt like you almost couldn't infiltrate that table, and you couldn't get to know those people. And then
I've never gone to a mixer yet. I've been invited to a couple, and I've never gone. Maybe that's
it. Might be different now because it's been 6 years. But what I see in the Facebook group, because I've always been a part of it, and I've watched it even when I was in Washington, is like there's always been someone that is kind of like the popular kid in the group, and everyone would just like want to work with them. And I've seen like filmmakers that were trying to break out, and nobody's like really giving them the time of day. But then I've seen this one person who's like a director, and let's say like someone writes something. I just watched this happen recently. A guy wrote something, and he wanted someone directing it so he can act in it and star in it. So he got this guy who he knows is a director in the Filmmaker Alliance to direct it for him. But in order for the guy to direct it for him, he had to give him one of the lead roles in the film. And like that's how like some of the stuff works. And
they're kind of, I don't know. I don't want to go down that road too much, but it's. Yeah, maybe that's why we don't play with them, because they
always want something. Like, they always want something more.
And a lot of them, like there's some of them I haven't even approached because we've been doing this for years and years and years. Like I said, John he has a professional credit under his name, and the series is out now. We'll try to put the link somewhere, so go check that out. I got a professional job through Driver. So I don't know a lot of the background from those Fresno people, but a lot of them would probably kill for one of our spots. But yet, how do I say this? We've been doing this for years and years and years. Cruella is non-profit at all. We lose money doing Cruella. You know what I mean? And
it's literally like starving artists over here. Like
the Fresno people, I've always seen 90% of them are like everything's about money, and it blows my mind. Like we've been lucky to have, like you just said, you got paid like amounts of money you can't believe, and I know that had to be, if you could, you would have done it for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I thought I was doing it for free. I didn't know I was getting paid.
So, because we love what we do, that's why we burnt ourselves out. We were doing it like, if we weren't doing it 3 times a day, me and you were talking for hours and hours every single day about it. And because this is what we live for, you know what I mean? And to me, for the Fresno people just to be like, it's almost like they don't want to do stuff unless there's money involved. And that kind of bums me out a little bit. Not saying there's some really cool Fresno people that we know personally, but I'm talking about the overall crowd that we don't seem to be accepted by for some reason, because they're all, like you said, it's a very buddy system, and they all support each other and stuff, and we're just not in that conversation at all. There was there was somebody put a post the other day and was like, why don't we do a awards? Okay, this was a couple months ago. Why don't we put a awards like show out for the Valley? You know what I mean? And for us like indie film people. And then someone said something like, yeah, but then who? Oh, no, that's not how it started. Someone said, why don't we all just start putting money in as filmmakers together, and then whoever has the best idea, or something loosely, I may be saying this wrong, will get the money to make the thing. And someone's like, that's a horrible idea, because then who gets the money, and who gets to choose who gets the money, and this and that. He said, I'd rather do like a reward show, and then maybe whoever wins gets that. And I had a comment. I said, nah, I don't think I love the road you guys are going down, but the problem is who gets to choose like who the money goes to, but also if we go through the awards, who chooses who wins the awards? Because do we go by views? Because I'm not being cocky or anything, but if we go by views, then we should be mentioned here or there, and we never are. And homegirl, I'm gonna throw her a shout out. Giovanni was like, I thought instantly the same thing. I instantly thought about you guys. Like, you guys are like never fucking mentioned ever in anything of that. You know what I mean? Like, ever. Like, we are never mentioned for anything. And I think we really, we don't get invited to do. I did one con, and that was because of Mackie. But besides that, we've never gotten invited to any cons, which the same Fresno people are at all the cons around here. The screenings, it's always the same thing. The same people doing the exact same thing. Yeah. And we are never part of that crew. You know what I mean? And
it's just, it's something I noticed too, and it kind of drives me crazy. And not in the sense that, like, I'm happy to see, like, actors, like, getting work and stuff, but I see the same like, production companies or same directors picking the same actors for different.
We get mad when we do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But we're like, what do we do?
Yeah.
That's why we try, Driver, we switched it up. We try as much as we can to.
But I would, if you're already like established in like the community and you have all these actors that want to work with you, I get it. I mean, you're not Wes Anderson or you're not, who's someone else that uses the same ensemble over and over?
Wes Anderson? Resident Evil?
Huh?
Resident Evil?
Yeah, because he always uses Mia Jovovich.
Yeah. That's his wife.
Yeah. But no, Wes Anderson always uses the same actors, like Bill Murray, Jason Schwartzman, Owen Wilson, Adrian Brody. Like, every single movie he gets, and like, I get it, like, he's got like a certain niche, but like, I don't think when you're an up and coming indie person out here in this community, it's like, branch out, use some different actors, use them for different for your different films. Like, I just saw a posting for like the newest casting for this short film that this company is doing, and like they literally have this same guy from the last short film that they put out, and he looks exactly the same like he does in the last film, and I'm like, all right.
That, and I also hate seeing when people, they have like a baby, which is like a short or a movie or a show, and it's not doing good, and they keep on doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even want to do a season 2 of Batman, but people kept on asking for it, and the views, like you just said, like episode 4, overall, I got way over 200,000 views for 5 episodes. Mm-hmm. And then people kept on constantly asking about it, so I was like, oh, okay. But there's been tons of times where we've done a short, like, Driver's a bad example.
Something that didn't get a lot of views?
Yeah. That we would want to make a sequel, and we're like, I just wasn't there. The views wasn't there. You know what I mean? But I see people do like stuff where they're like in the same.
All of Arrow. I feel like Arrow was just as good as like the Batman stuff.
Oh yeah, if not better, because it was like I'm telling you, we just shouldn't have came back with that one. That was the problem. It was like years break, and then that. And that was just not smart. You know what I mean?
I'm just really curious how like the algorithm works for our stuff getting discovered, though, because it's like Driver, Coup de Food, Writer's Block. Those all have multi-thousand views. But then like all the stuff that we've been releasing, like the Creative Mondays, nobody knows that they're going to be like purely improvisational film. Well, they only have less than 200 views.
I think it's the well, what's even called? It's still brand new. Let's give that one some breathing room. Knock, yeah.
Okay. Well, back's been up for 2 weeks now. It's only has 118.
And what's funny is I told Mike, I said, bro, it's gonna come in around a minute. And he said, only a minute? I said, dude, I think that's gonna be great. And here, let me shoot back 5 years ago. We did episode 4, our most viewed thing of the Batman series. And I said, bro, it's over 30 minutes. Mike said, absolutely not. I said, we're not cutting it because, long story short, we didn't cut it. But that ended up being our biggest thing. And Mike was so against it. Like, there's no way people are going to watch a 30-minute thing. So let's go to 5 years now. I said, bro, it's only a minute. And he said, what? Only a minute? And I said, I think that's great. Because if it's only a minute, before people click it, they're going to see it's a minute. Everyone's going to fucking watch it. You know what I mean? It's only a minute. If that didn't fucking backfire, I think people were like, it's only a minute. What can they really show? Which is fucking mind blowing. I totally thought the opposite. I thought if it's a minute, everybody will click it to support it. But
that's how I think too, because I watch so much stuff on YouTube to see what like other independent filmmakers are doing. And if I ever see something that's like 15 minutes, I usually stay away from it because
I think Mike's like that too.
Because people try to like pack too much. They try to pack a full feature film in the 15 minutes, and so many parts feel like really slow. And I'm like, it's a short film, guys. Like, cut out 10 minutes and give us like 5 minutes of the most exciting parts, and you'll hold everyone's attention.
Or even cut out 5 minutes, and the 10 minutes probably would have seemed like 5 minutes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't understand YouTube at all, bro. Yeah. I don't. I don't understand how, and I'm not knocking it at all. I love it. I think I'm one of the one. No, I think me and you like it the most. The French one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one. But I don't know how that one got higher than Driver. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know why episode 4 isn't like, 200,000 views.
Is there more? Do we have a bigger French fan base? Should we start naming more stuff in French?
I do see sometimes though, when Knock came out, I didn't see there like Driver was getting shared. The French one was getting shared like crazy because when I post it on my Facebook, it'll let you know when somebody shares it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just saw those ones like where my mind was getting blown. Like, oh my god, like. I'll tell you guys right now, oh my god, you guys are so sweet. Like how all these people, I don't even care if you're not watching it anymore because so many people are fucking sharing it that people are going to watch it. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking insane. And sometimes people don't share it, you know? And that's like for us in the YouTube world, that is the biggest thing is people sharing that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Creative Sundays have been interesting. They've been
great. At first, they were really great for me, like getting back into it.
We took a little bit of break.
Yeah,
we took a little bit of break,
especially me.
That's why I don't know if you know because we did Knock first, but I came out with what's it called? What's the other one called in the coffin?
Back.
I did that one first because I thought it was appropriate for you. Uh-huh. You know, like you're coming back.
Oh,
like,
okay.
You know what I mean? That's why I came up with that one first.
I didn't even think about
That's what Mike. I told Mike that, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't even get that." I was like, "Yeah, I did that."
Cool.
I thought that was
I like that. Me coming back from the dead. Because after Ghost Riders and like how we were talking about, like I was doing so much. I went through a really bad place, like mentally. So I took a hiatus from filmmaking, a couple months off, and like. Charles was always trying to get me to get back out there, and I was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not really ready to do it. And then I don't even know what happened. Like,
it felt like forever, but fucking obviously it wasn't because Driver only came out like 4 months. It felt like forever.
You know what's crazy though? Like, my period of darkness happened around the same time your period of darkness happened the first time when we met. Mm-hmm. And like, I just really hope that's like not like a vicious cycle that would continue to go down.
I know.
Because December's only like 6 months away, so
yeah, let's pump out as many before I hit mine.
But yeah, I took a break, and then the first time we got back together, we didn't even do filmmaking. We jammed like musically.
Yeah, which was really fun. And you got to show off your skills on Knock. I thought it was so cool that you got to play guitar. Like I don't think I've ever got to play guitar in a short.
Yeah, that was funny. But no, it was cool because something like. even more than filmmaking that we have, Charles and I have in common is like music, and like we've both been in like bands and like play rock music, and like we might not agree like specifically on like the type of like rock or metal that we're into, but there's still a middle ground there somewhere.
Yeah, and we like a lot of the same people, but it's just the people that sometimes.
It's like who you love, I don't like really like, and then who I love, like you.
Our like bands are the same.
Yeah,
it's our love bands that we're like, no, dude.
Yeah. So, but no, it's cool though because like I just love playing music, so we were able to get together and like jam, and like I was so inspired to just play music at that time in my life, and you were like wanting to do film, so you had me come out, and it was just me, you, and Mike, and we had no ideas.
Two things the first time.
We did two things, Knock and Back, which we released as two different videos. And that was so fun because to watch a filmmaker, to really see a filmmaker is to give them nothing and see what they can do with it. Like, look around your house and think like what you can do with that and create a narrative around it. Like, and Back, I'm stuck inside a coffin. I wake up inside a coffin. It was a cardboard box. I found a cardboard box, and I told Mike, I'm like, can I cut this cardboard box up?
You know what's crazy, though, is for it not being viewed that much, a lot of people have asked me how we did it. Like, a lot. Mm-hmm. More probably has messaged me, like, how did you do that than any other film?
Really?
Yeah.
Do you tell them?
Yeah, I tell them.
And then...
Just cardboard box. They're like, they're just always, like, blown away.
Yeah. And then, like, the coolest thing I thought was, one, the shot where it goes from my face out through the coffin and out through the dirt. I thought that was a really cool shot, and that was really easy. But another one was the hand popping out of the grave, which, since I was a kid, has always been, like, something I've always wanted to do. I think seeing a hand pop out of the grave is, like, one of the coolest things you'll ever see in filmmaking. And we finally got to do it. And it was just so fun because what we did is we cut a hole in the top of the cardboard box, and we put dirt. I put duct tape with a little bit of a slit so dirt wouldn't go through. And we piled it up with dirt so it looked like it was still the dirt pile from where the grave was dug. And then we filmed it at an angle so that you didn't see me laying underneath. And then when we timed it, and then all I did was stick my hand through the hole and the duct tape slit, and it looks like my hand's popping out of the grave. Really easy. Now, you guys, if like you ever want to make a short film and like something like that happens, now there's a way you do it. You don't need to bury your actors alive.
Yeah, I got asked about that at work, and then I got asked about the opening shot of going from the grass to underground, and I was like,
that was super easy too.
Yeah, super easy. That one was like filmmaking 101. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that one was so fun. And
Robert Rodriguez would be proud of us.
Yeah. That, and then we did Knock, which was completely different, but really fun too. And really, you gave me a lot of comments about my camera angles or filming techniques. I don't know, however you want to say it, but thank you, because that was really cool of you. I was one thing I didn't like, though, that I already explained it to you, though, was that like when I was editing it, it was in a different scale than when it rendered. Like everything was like zoomed in, but I was just like, I just wanted to release it, and like I was just like, dude, you're gonna mess with it forever, you know what I mean? Just let it go already. But that one was really cool. I really liked the acting. I liked how it looked. We were really cool with the colors. We were really cool with just the tone and everything of it. But you were about to you took a little break from Cruella, and now you're about to be in the next like 8 things. You just had 2 come out. You have another one coming out in 2 weeks, which will be a kind of a music video, but not really. It's a zombie short film. There's just, and then there's another one that you play a minor role in, but you're a very cool part of the minor role, which will probably be like a month away if we're staying with our 2-week schedule. And then
which one's that?
We got the first one I was talking about was.
Oh, okay. The
zombie one. The second one's the sci-fi
Megan
one.
And Noah. Okay.
And then you just sent me a script yesterday. So you want to kind of talk about that a little bit, or
yeah, I don't mind talking about that. So this is a project. So when I was living in Washington, so something I've had many like scripts and ideas that I've written over time, and everybody says they write like characters that you would meet every day. Well, I meet the characters that you wouldn't meet every day, or the characters that you would meet every day, but you wouldn't think about it. And those are the people that live with mental illnesses. So, like, in the past, I've written a post-apocalyptic story, and the main character had autism, and it's like, what would it be like to see a guy with autism try and live through the post-apocalyptic world? Well, I'm writing one right now about a character who has schizophrenia, and we know she has schizophrenia, but she has another disease that I'm not going to tell you guys about. It's another mental disease. It's related to sleep. But basically, it's she has a reoccurring nightmare, but the nightmare gets longer every time. And there's this monster, like a phantom that she sees every night, creeping into her room and gets closer to her every night. And eventually, she starts to think like this creature's out to get her, and it's her basically like she's battling her mind because she knows she is schizophrenic. She's like, well, is it me? Is it my mind being my own worst enemy right now, or do I actually need to be like scared for my life right now? And this was inspired by the Babadook, not in a sense that like it's trying to be the Babadook, but because I didn't like horror movies until I saw the Babadook, and I realized like monsters can be more than just like monsters. Like, they don't need to be guys with big knives. They don't need to be zombies. They don't need to be vampires. They don't need to be like all those monsters that we've seen in the past that are tried and tired and like have been used a million times. Instead, they can be manifestations of our negative emotions and feelings, and even mental illnesses. So that inspired me to write a horror film about that. And this is going to be like my first like directorial. Driver was my first like directing thing, but like this is like my baby,
directing. This is yours.
And the end all goal for this one is to take it to film festivals. Like, I finally did something professional, and like I need to see what else I'm capable of and how far I can take this. So
you gave me the big news that you want me to be producer with you, so I was stoked.
I want Charles to help production and also sound, because like every time you do sound on a video, it's so killer.
Thank you.
So I always dig that. But yeah, like I'm super stoked about it, because like I'm starting to build this team around me that they're all just like super amazing, and like and to link back to what we were talking about, Fresno filmmakers, some of the people that I have on my team already are high school students, but the cinematographer is a high schooler, but he's already won multiple awards from film festivals for best cinematography.
That's sick.
One kid does VFX, and he does like Blender, and he uses Blender better than me, and I've been using Blender forever.
Some people, though, not even learning, they just got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They were meant for that field. Yeah, and like, we're like jack of all trades, which,
kind of sucks sometimes, because then you're not like a master
of one.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because like a good director is able to like bring those people together and make an amazing project. So like, this is one of those things where like I don't need to do everything for my own project, and I'm kind of like scared but also very excited about it.
You're gonna have to that big old trust, you know.
But like, if anything, I do trust the cinematographer a lot. Like, I've seen his work, and it's really good. And like, me and you work together like peas in a pod, so like I have no problem with that.
I know, I was super stoked when you told me yesterday.
But yeah, I'm really.
It's still a minute away though, right? Because you wanted to crowdfund and everything.
Yeah, it's I'm probably going to shoot it sometime in the summer when the kids are out of high school.
Yeah, make it easy.
They're all going to have time, and then we're going to. I'll plan to take some days off from work so I can shoot it. But yeah, it's. I want to do crowdfunding because I do want it to have a budget. So we can. I mean, I think even without a budget, we can make something amazing. But with the budget, we can like make something professional, like really great. Because the end all goal is like, I do have an idea for it that could be stretched out into a feature. And nowadays, like production companies, they don't care if you just have a script for a film. It's like if you go out and shoot a short film to show as like a proof of concept.
The tone and the style that you're, for sure.
Like Blumhouse, which is a company that did like Jordan Peele's Lost, what's it called?
Get Out.
Get Out. Thank you. Get Out and Us, and they've also done like all the Conjuring movies. They do a lot of like the horror movies that like you guys are all familiar with, Oculus. And I was talking to one of my other mentors, and he's like, yeah, Blumhouse won't do they won't even like begin to read your script unless you have like a short film to go with it. Once they have a short film that intrigues them, then they'll go ahead and read your script.
I just went and did a film shoot this weekend at a gym for a promotional video for the gym owner, and some Hollywood guys, the guys in the middle basically, from the Hollywood guys and him, were like, hey, there's some people interested in starting a new gym show on TV, and they're looking at a couple different people, and he's like, he was telling the owner this, and the owner's like, well, I have this idea of like, I'm going to go to a gym, and in 30 days, I'll be able to make it, make money, profitable, you know? And he was like, oh, yeah. And he's like, tell him if that would be nice. He's like, nah, you can't. Like, nowadays, that ain't how it works. Like, go out and film some footage and stuff, and we'll throw it together like a little, kind of like sizzle one episode. Yeah. And that's what they really want now. You know, that's like a big thing right now is, you know, and even... That's how Saw was made, you know? They made like a 5-minute short of the bear trap. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And they came in with the script, they came in with the bear trap, and then they showed them 5 minutes of the bear trap scene.
Okay. That's how Mama, do you know the horror movie Mama?
No, I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things.
Yeah. It's scary as shit. It's definitely like that Mama the ghost is fucking terrifying. But Guillermo del Toro is executive producer on it, and he saw the original short film, which is like less than 2 minutes, by a Spanish director of all people. Like, you know, you'd be looking for, if you're in Hollywood, you're probably looking for Hollywood, like LA based, or at least people in America. But I'm the Spanish director, and that's how Mama got turned into a full feature film. And if you watch the short film, they kept that original scene from the short film in the feature-length film, which was super cool, because then like it's like, wow, like it really was the director's vision the whole time.
I made this short film once years ago about it was a blind date, and this guy is actually a serial killer that's going on a blind date with this beautiful girl. And before the blind date starts, though, this girl thinks she hears something in the hallway, so she turns off the light. Or no. She's walking away. She goes, there's nothing there. So she turns off the light. And when she turns off the light, there's somebody standing there. So she turns back on the light, and there's no one there. And then and then somebody made a short film.
That happened.
That happened, and then he got a movie out of that idea, and they put that scene. And it's the guy that just. And then after that was just him and his wife making the YouTube video. They told him to make James Wan went and got him to make a movie of that, and they have that scene in the movie again. That I did first, and then that's the director that just did Shazam.
No way.
Yeah, you'll have to go find it. I know though for a fact because he's the one that did Lights Out.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. But all right, brother. We'll call it. But you know what? We're gonna have to do a part 2 because this is what you do, but not who you are. I would love to talk more about filmmaking, because basically now, if you guys didn't know John, you know what he's done for us in the last year to 6 years ago. You know what I mean? But me and you are a little bit different, because even though you just said you went and you did your first professional DP, you've acted in almost all of our stuff. We're still, me and you are very much calling each other all the time, like, who are we? So I would love to probably wouldn't be as long. This one went a lot longer than we thought.
Yeah.
But that one would be a lot shorter. But I would love to talk about kind of, and another us talking about those scenes that we've always wanted since we got in, like the coffin one. We both have always wanted to do that. We did that. There's been a couple of other scenes that we've got to do like that we've always wanted, and just how we feel when we're a writer, how we feel when we're an editor. Because like you said, we're kind of a jack of all trades, and we we try to touch on everything, even when we don't want to. So I would love to get into that maybe in the next podcast.
That'd be cool.
All right, then, guys. Thank you guys for listening. I really wish I knew where this was going so I could tell you guys to like it or subscribe or share it. I'm pretty sure no matter what it goes on, though, you could share it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So share this. Hopefully by the next episode, we'll know where this is. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Later.